Good evening, everyone. I'm your host, Jason Miles, and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Red Zone. As you can see, I am once again on location in the great city of Tijuana. I'm in the underground mall once again at the Witch. The witches are hiding as usual. I don't know if they know that I'm live right now. I think they're looking over here. They're like, oh no, he's live. They're hiding. Well, all that being said, if you appreciate this show and this channel, hit like and subscribe, and make sure that you're sharing this on all of your social medias. Look, and I'm wearing a Buffalo Bill shirt. This is the first time in 20 years, at least 20 years, that I've worn a team that I'm not a fan of. I bought a Cleveland Browns shirt from Mac, and I almost cursed him out because I thought the Browns were going to beat the Broncos on Monday, and I was going to blame the shirt that was in my living room that I haven't mailed to Mac yet. That is how superstitious I am. That's how ridiculously superstitious I am. But this was in the misprint rack at the really cool metal store place, and so I had to get this because it's pretty dope. And who wouldn't mind seeing the Bills win a Super Bowl? Let's talk a little bit about that. Are the Bills for real? With a 10-2 record and a commanding 7-game win streak, the Buffalo Bills are poised to make a serious push in the 2024 NFL playoffs. Just weeks ago, they not only defeated the reigning powerhouse Kansas City Chiefs, but followed up with a crushing victory over the San Francisco 49ers on Sunday Night Football, all but ending the Niners' postseason hopes. The Bills aren't just winning, they're dominating, unlike the Chiefs, whose narrow victories have become almost mythical or conspiratorial, depending on if you are or aren't a fan. The Bills are leaving no doubt about their superiority on the field. Could this be the year Buffalo finally exorcises the ghosts of Super Bowl heartbreaks past? Led by Josh Allen, these Bills may not be the offensive juggernaut of the early 90s teams that remain the only in history to reach 4 consecutive Super Bowls, but they are efficient, resilient, and balanced. This current Buffalo Bills team is hard-nosed and working class as their dedicated fans. The city's hunger for the elusive championship that has slipped through their fingers too many times may be realized by this iteration of the team. Is 2024 the year that they finally hoist the Lombardi Trophy? And while the NFL is heating up, the NCAA football landscape is once again centered on a familiar name: Alabama. Somehow, despite early doubts, the Crimson Tide have fought their way back into the college football playoff conversation. We'll break down how they did it, what it means for the playoff picture, and whether Alabama is poised for another run at glory. So let me bring in my co-host in this very fun sports endeavor, Mac. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. It's cold, bro. It is fucking cold. It's been below freezing all day
In where you're living?
in North Carolina. Fuck yeah, bro.
So I shouldn't be complaining about how cold it is here because it's like 59.
Shut up.
I was gonna sit next to the fire. Look, there's fire. Can you see the fire?
I'm so
I was
disappointed
gonna
in you. Don't.
I was gonna sit next to the fire thing. Should I sit next
I
to the
mean,
fire
Claw,
thing?
I don't want to hear it, man, because I know how bad Northeast Ohio is getting pummeled already, but we're not built for that down here. We're not built for freezing for the entire day. Like, I busted out my fucking Swiss Army Gore-Tex jacket, had a beanie, brought gloves, and I was like, oh, I got to reconcile the inventory today, so I'm going to be outside all motherfucking day. It's awful.
Oh, we got Chris Contos in the chat. We got to keep an eye on him. Chris Contos, playing drums for Forbidden right now. Most of you guys know him as the drummer, original drummer of Machine Head, Death Angel, Testament. Name a band, he probably played drums in there.
But yeah, so let's talk about the Buffalo Bills now. I mean, they look good. I mean, they have a balance on offense that they haven't had the probably last 3 or 4 years.
Since the 90s, would you
Yeah.
like? Let's be serious. The Bills legitimately look very good. They beat. It wasn't a close game. It was a good game, but it wasn't a close game. They beat the Chiefs and they blew the Niners out.
Yeah, I mean, and let's not. I mean, a win's a win, but this isn't the Niners from last year or the year before. They've been robbed of everything. It's like the injury. Fuck Bama, man. We'll get to that.
We'll get to Bama. Yeah.
Yeah.
Put a pin in Bama. Let's foreground Bama.
You need
for
to
now.
like maybe pump the brakes there, Chris. I get it. You're an accomplished drummer, playing a lot of rad bands, but this is the Mac show, and we don't tolerate disrespect like Bama fan for life. Okay, we don't do that here. No, but I mean, they haven't had a real running game honestly since Marshawn Lynch started in Buffalo.
Fuck. Was that 20 years ago?
Yeah, going on. But they look really, really good. You know, the defense was supposed to be the big question mark, and can they make some improvements? Yeah. Claw, don't. You can't use phrases like that, can you?
A tundra Negro. As a tundra Negro.
But, you know, like maybe bringing back Micah Hyde to shore up the secondary would be smart because he's still a free agent. But, like, I mean, Buffalo, like somebody already said, they have to get past the Chiefs in the playoffs. Like right now, that's their kryptonite, right? Like you beat them in the regular season, but say what you want about the close wins the Chiefs had or whatever the case is. The fact of the matter is, like, you put Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs together and they make shit happen. I don't think anybody can deny that. But I mean, Josh Allen has looked phenomenal just with his playmaking ability. He's really cut down on the interceptions and the mistakes that he was making. And honestly, I think a lot of that had to do with him just like trying to carry too much of the load by himself. And he doesn't really have to do that now. You know, he can spread it around. You
don't have to double the nut load when you have a good team.
You don't. You can just carry a single nut load, you know, and not have to worry about exposing yourself to, a nut burden that you can't recover from, you know. And so, I mean, that's they've really put that team together well. I think they're really well coached. And then you have, like, again, Josh Allen, him leading that offense it's phenomenal to watch. But yeah, your Broncos, this is I want to go into the Monday night game, which I thought was phenomenal, right? One, you, Jason, as a Broncos fan, have to be very excited about Bo Nix's development over, however many weeks we're at now. I think he's going to be in the running for rookie, offensive rookie of the year. But like for Cleveland fans, this should hurt a little bit. And I'm not talking about losing to the Broncos. I'm talking about when you just get functional quarterback play, this is what that team could do. You don't have Nick Chubb at 100% yet, so you can't really lean into that run game. But look at what Jameis Winston's done with Jerry Jeudy. Since Winston, became the starter.
Was Jerry Jeudy right? Or was he just on a mission to fuck up the Broncos? Because whenever Surtain was on him, he wasn't breaking these, 70-yard passes. But he still was getting open on curls.
Surtain the second, man, like that dude is every bit the corner his dad was. Phenomenal corner, great impressor, man. But like you're not going to beat a guy like that 40% of the time, usually. So you take your wins where you can get, and then a good coach is going to put guys in motion to make sure Patrick Surtain II isn't covering your best receiver, right? And it might have been a combination of both, Jason, honestly. Like, I want to fuck with the Broncos, but also he's got a good thing with Winston. Like, Winston's shown kind of like a depth of belief in Jeudy that Watson hasn't shown in anybody but his ability to force hand jobs on unsuspecting women.
Wow. Allegedly. Watson loved DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, and it's easy to throw to a guy like DeAndre Hopkins, right? Like you and I could throw the ball to DeAndre Hopkins, and he's still going to have a pretty good career. Um, but the fact of the matter is that if the Browns just had functional quarterback play prior to Watson getting hurt, the record would be a lot different. Just having a
Yes.
guy. I mean, I'm gonna say with Winston, you're gonna have to. He lives and dies with that arm, man. You have to expect pick sixes. You have to be able
They
to.
just didn't run the ball. I think there was
Yeah,
28 carries for about 60 yards
yeah.
total.
And honestly, a lot of that when you're Nick Chubb coming back from that devastating injury, you're not going to come back at 100% as soon as you get back. And the sad thing is, he's probably not going to be a Brown next year. Um, you know, Jason might, Mercutio. Jason might. You know, I'm referred to as the drink racist here, and Jason's the race projector, and here on Beyond the Red Zone. Um, the workers game. Fuck you. Um, but just functional quarterback play. Like I was saying, Chubb might not. I don't think he's going to be a Brown next year. The Browns have to work some salary cap magic because they have, I think, the second most cap space now. But when everybody's raises hit next year, they're going to be over. So you're going to see that kind of salary cap magic Andrew Berry and his staff do. But I don't know if Nick Chubb will be back. But it's just it's I think the game is better when the Broncos are good and competitive, and it's just been night and day from the first snap to now. Bo Nix looks comfortable. He looks confident in his ability to work the offense. And the Broncos have always had it. I mean, they've had a really stout defense the last 3 or 4 years.
The Broncos defense, can I say this about Sean Payton? I want to keep reiterating this because this is why I'm a believer in Sean Payton in a way that I wasn't even when he was a pretty competent coach and a competent offensive coordinator. His trust in Vance Joseph after giving up 70 points. Usually heads roll. No heads rolled.
Yeah.
I don't even know who got cut after that game. I know they traded Gregory, I think, soon after that to the Niners.
Yeah.
But other than that, they stayed the course with Joseph, which I was not happy with because I remember Vance Joseph as a head coach. I think a lot of Broncos fans remember him as a head coach, and he always seemed, I hate to use the term out of your depth because that kind of comes off like you have no idea what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I think he knows what he's doing. I think it was a little overwhelming for him at that time.
Oh, I mean, dude, it was his first head coaching position, and he didn't have a long leash.
No, he didn't. And to me, he was the diversity hire when no one was going to hire Brian, what's his name? The black guy from New England.
The
coach in Miami.
I coached in Miami.
Flores.
Oh, Flores. Yeah.
Nobody wanted to deal with Flores. And so
it's because
Vance Joseph was the diversity hire.
Yeah, Flores just, is running a top 5 defense while still suing the NFL. That's what I love most about this.
Hey, I think that's why nobody wanted to fuck with Flores. But you look at Vance Joseph, who's going to have tons of jobs thrown at him. Now, remember, before the head coaching position gets changed, the Broncos did have a pretty good defensive coordinator, another young black man that took another defensive coordinating position. I can't remember the guy's name on top of my head, but because I didn't know we were going to talk about the Broncos. And to bring Joseph back, to see how good this no-name defense is playing, because we don't have any first-round picks other than Surtain on this squad. Isn't Riley Moss, if I'm not mistaken, an undrafted
I believe so, yeah.
Agent? Who's sadly hurt right now. But Jameis throwing almost 3 pick sixes in that game was the difference. But bigger than that, we can't act like the Broncos defense, for the first time probably since the no-fly zone, has been this stingy. And when you look at them, they're really undersized. There's no big, 6'4", 280-pound end rusher. Benito dropped back in coverage, and he's so slender. I really think that Winston didn't see him drop back in coverage.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. They play a game that's more predicated on speed, right?
Hmm.
They move people around. They get their defensive linemen and linebackers in the right spaces to make plays. Um, and they know that their defensive backs are good enough that they can be left on an island and still take care of business. Um, and when you can do that and you can do it well, because there's been a lot of head coaches that are like, well, I don't have the stars, but we're faster than everybody. We'll play that way. But a lot of times they get blown off the ball. They have issues tackling. Denver doesn't have that. Honestly, that's a sign of good coaching. One,
Hmm.
and two, a group of guys that are perfect for the system they're playing in.
Hmm.
It's going to be funny when some of these dudes become free agents and get signed and have to go someplace else. And
Josie Jewell.
yeah, I'm talking like their defensive linemen and their linebackers. They're going to be a lot smaller and maybe not as perfect for the systems that they go to.
Well,
Um,
Josie Jewell. Look at
yeah,
him in Carolina. How do you like him in Carolina? Like honestly, how do you like Josie
I don't
Jewell?
like anything in Carolina. I mean, they've been playing a lot better. Um,
Fuck this weather. Fuck that team.
yeah, fuck that team. Fuck it all. No, I mean Carolina's played much better football like the past month. I think Canales was the right hire. I think maybe putting Bryce Young in timeout for a little bit
That
was
great move.
was a smart
Fuck, that was a
call.
good move. Oh,
And even with Dalton hurt and coming back from injury, that's still an extra sounding board for Young. And Young's looked a lot more comfortable, um, under center the last probably month or so. And they're playing tough games, man. Um, I got old school and sloppy. Nice, Tony. I mean, there's a time and place. Like every so often, I love those games. But what I love most is so many teams are not prepped for that. Like because everything is so timing based and is speed based. You put him in a foot of snow, it changes the whole metrics of the game. And then Allen he's just like, fuck it, man. My guys are used to catching fastballs with their hands in this weather. And if they're not, me and the running backs will just run all over the damn place. And I
and
think,
Allen's a great, a great example. Sorry to cut you off. Of acclimation.
yeah,
There's this weird thing about how people can't acclimate to weather, which I've never really understood. As someone, and you know this as well. You're from a cold weather place. You moved somewhere where it gets really hot in the summer. Josh Allen is from California. He went to Wyoming. I believe he played 4 years at Wyoming.
he did. He did. He played all four there.
And going to Buffalo is like, it's not as cold.
Yeah,
It's a little less windy.
yeah, and I think he was perfect. And I'll be the first one to eat my crow here. I was a guy like 2-3 years into his career. I was like, he just needs to move to tight end. And then year 4 hit, and holy shit, he's just been on a roll since. And I think probably a lot of that had to do with just adjusting to the speed of the NFL coming from Wyoming, because he's only gotten better since college. Um, he had like a 57% completion percentage at Wyoming. And that's when he was throwing to like me, you, and the really slow white kid that lives down the street from us. And now he's got some real burners, good running game. He's perfect for that town. And on top of that, he's marrying the new Hawkeye from Marvel. So he got engaged, dude. To
The
Haley
daughter,
Steinfeld.
the daughter of Jeremy Rennick. Is that his name?
No, not the daughter. She plays a character called Kate Bishop, who's kind of like his protege.
I thought it was supposed to be his kid. Okay, Kate
No.
Bishop. Okay.
Yeah.
I
You muted yourself again, Jason.
Sorry, I didn't want the sounds of the city to overpower you.
Oh, but no, like he's perfect for the town. Like he embodies it
Yes.
the way that Jim Kelly came to embody it. Because people forget that he only went to the USFL first because he's like, fuck this, I don't want to play in Buffalo. Who the fuck wants to live in Buffalo? And then he was willing to ride it out with the USFL until they couldn't. And he's like, well, shit, I guess
Well,
I have.
isn't he from? I don't think he's from Cleveland, but he's from Ohio, right?
He's from
Jim Kelly?
Ohio, and he went to college in
Miami.
Miami. Like, why
He was
the
like,
fuck?
"Fuck this."
Yeah, he's like, man.
Didn't he? Wait, was he the quarterback when they won their first national championship? I always forget. It was either
Uh,
him or Kozar, and I feel like Kozar won the first one and not Kelly.
I don't think Bernie won one.
Yeah.
Did he? All I know,
Someone double check us for that. I believe
yeah,
Bernie Kosar won a championship, and I believe if Kelly didn't win one, they definitely went to a bowl game. And the quarterback roster was Jim Kelly, Bernie Kosar, and Vinny Testaverde.
yeah, that was a D. Schellenberger
Fuck.
knew how to recruit, man. He knew how to recruit.
None of those guys are from my. I don't think there's one quarterback that was dominant during that era that's from Miami, because Ken Dorsey's from the Bay Area. He's from
Yeah, I was
not
gonna
too
say,
far north from me.
yeah, he's a Cali guy. Where was
Craig
Gino from?
Erickson, Pinole, California.
Really?
Chris Contos should know Gino Toretta. Yeah, he's from Pinole, California. It's in the Bay. It's like the city over from where I'm from, Richmond.
Dude, that's hilarious that like these dominant QBs came from like Ohio and Cali. It's like Howard Schellenberger and Jimmy Johnson couldn't find one QB worth of fuck that wanted to come down to Miami and play football.
Which is weird, man, because you think about the talent on both sides of the ball that come from Florida, the Cuban talent they were able to put on both sides of the ball that comes from Florida. That was those teams were pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah, they were.
But the
stacked.
quarterback position, DJ, oh God, what's his name? The linebacker, played for the Broncos for a bunch of years. I can't think of his last name.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we're both drawing a blank. It's a regular last name too.
Yeah, I thought with a name like DJ, whatever his last name is, he was just going to be this boring ass white guy that like played World of Warcraft all the time.
No, he was a great Miami linebacker. Played a bunch of seasons for the Broncos. He's also from the Bay Area. They had a lot of, because I think Craig Erickson, when he was a coach there, he was scouting a lot of California talent.
Yeah, because he's a West Coast guy. Ayatollah, he might be. I don't know. Western PA, Eastern Ohio, you could literally break them off from their respective states and make a much better state.
Ayatollah, DJ Williams, fucking Ayatollah,
coming through in the clutch, man.
Great fucking listeners.
Yes, and it's just Jason and I showing our age right now.
Is it because I thought it was Kozar and Kelly that were from Ohio, but I can understand Kelly being from PA.
Yeah, I mean, well, that Kozar's from like Youngstown, dude. You know what I mean? Like, he was like the hard scrap. I mean, I give Kozar and his family a lot of credit. They were like, "Hey, I'm coming out in the draft," and he declared
supplemental draft.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's because he declared late.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he didn't know if he'd be able to graduate early, so Marino was a Pittsburgh guy, Tony. Paterno wanted Jim Kelly to play linebacker.
Fuck, that old man. Maybe he didn't know as much about football as we thought.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so Dr. Claw says Kozar was. So did Kelly go to a bowl game with Miami then?
I mean, obviously, Miami went bowling every year under Schellenberger, Erickson, and Johnson.
Yeah. They were about to ditch the football program right before Schellenberger came.
Yeah. Yeah, he had to talk him into keeping it. I mean, and you got to think, look at what Schellenberger did for Southern Florida. He talks Miami, which was a tiny private school when he took that job, and turns it into a football powerhouse, and then starts the football program at Florida Atlantic. Like, literally started it from scratch, you know? Like,
Ayatollah says, let me tell you about the greatness of Simon Fletcher and the Three Amigos. Dude, the Three Amigos, I thought, were the greatest wide receiver combination of all time. None of those guys topped like 5'10".
I mean, that's what I loved most about look at a lot of the damage that Brady did through the air. Wes Welker and Julian Edelman, you know, like, it's just, we had, you know, the Pats had a couple phenomenal years with Randy Moss. And I loved when he was there because I knew Brady could just put it up around him. He's going to pull it down, you know.
He put up video game numbers. They both put up video game numbers.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But then Brady continued to do it when his tallest, you know, his two main targets were like maybe a little taller than me, you know, and we're just able to play out of the slot. Like, it's phenomenal, man. But yeah, you know what? We got to do this. We have to pivot to college football now. so we can
Before we
talk.
pivot to college football, before we pivot, do the Bengals have a chance to make
Fuck
the
no,
playoffs with it?
no, and that's a sad thing. Um,
I was trying to give you
yeah,
some Ohio love.
yeah, not even a little bit, man. They put themselves in that hole. I mean, dude, Burrow's thrown for over 1,000 yards the last, I think, 4 games, and they've
Damn,
lost every one of them.
damn.
You have your quarterback um, playing some of the best football of his life. You know you're probably going to lose T. Higgins in the offseason.
Mhm.
Um, they should have went all in and gave him every bit of support, going into the season and trying to make a run, build off that Super Bowl year where they lost. And they just didn't, and then whoever was in chat that's a Bengals fan tried to give me shit about saying this. But Taylor's not the guy to get him over the hump. He's not. He's not a
Mm.
good coach. The same way Ryan Day is not a good fucking coach. Some guys can get you to 10 wins a year, right? Marvin Lewis managed to do that quite a few times, and he was there how long?
15 years or some crazy
Yeah,
number like that? He
way
was
too
there a
fucking
long
many
time.
years. You know, um, it's just, we'll talk OU. Yeah, you know,
So we have to. Okay, so I did miss a lot of college football as I was trying to fix a Wi-Fi problem that's
yeah,
still going on
yeah,
at my house.
and I kept you updated, so
And you did keep me updated.
I did.
And I believe the update was if I see Ryan Day in the street, it's on.
Yeah, hands on sight,
Yeah,
with
that's what
that
it was.
fucker.
Hands on sight. So tell me about your disappointment with Ohio State's second loss of the year against their rival Michigan.
Yeah. Let's see. Michigan's already down their best corner. They have a suspect defensive backfield, and Chip Kelly's like, I'm going to be the genius I am and just run it up the middle every fucking play into the heart of their defense. And eventually they're going to break because Ryan said we need to be tough. We have to show our toughness. Man, fuck you. I don't care about your goddamn toughness. You have like 3 NFL wide receivers that'll fucking run laps around the bums that Michigan had out there. And Howard didn't throw the fucking ball. Okay. And that leads me into this whole Will Howard thing. Like, he played very well in Chris Kleiman's system at Kansas State because he wasn't expected to push the ball downfield because he doesn't have that kind of arm strength. Right. And you could see on the times he did try and get it down the field in that game where it just like floated. He looks like my quarterback from my NCAA dynasty where I'm starting with Kent State. And man, I think I'm throwing a good spiral and they do the slow-mo replay and it's just a duck wobbling and then my wide receiver drops it because I am starting out as Kent State. But Chip Kelly refused to throw the ball. We're just going to run it right up the gut, right at the 2 of the best defensive tackles in the country. Just dumb shit, right? And it goes to show that Ryan Day, yeah, he wins 10 games every year. That's fucking cool. That's not the expectation at Ohio State. It's beat Michigan, win the Big Ten, fucking play for a national title. That's the expectation. He hasn't beat Michigan in fucking 4 years, right? I think he's like 1-4 in bowl games. He can't win the big game. Oh, Tony. Only capitalists and heads of health insurance companies cheer for Michigan, okay? And look at what happened to that one dude that was the head of the health company, okay? So, um, that's right. People want to dox Ryan Day. But I mean, I really think that's something that the administration needs to look at. No, Newry, I don't. Barely anybody's at the stadium right now. So I would just be happy that somebody was there. But, Ryan Day is showing he's not the guy to beat Michigan, to win the Big Ten, and to play for a national title. The Buckeyes are getting gifted, a spot in the expanded playoff. But I mean, are they going to make it any noise? Not based on last week. Fuck no, not based on last week. So like it's very disappointing to know that this could be this should have been the matchup against Michigan where you took full advantages of the receivers that you have to play against their ass fucking defensive backfield, and he didn't. And to me, that's not a smart coach. What that is a fucking idiot who didn't lean into his strengths against an obvious weakness in Michigan. Oh yeah, fuck Ryan Day.
And fuck Ryan Day.
Yeah.
So that being said, the playoff picture is coming more and more into focus, and I thought Alabama should have been out of it after that OU loss, but they beat up on Auburn, and for some reason, that's reason enough for that team to be in there over some teams that I think would be exciting to watch. I really wanted to see Arizona State in the college football playoff because Cam Scatterboo is one of the most exciting college football players. I don't know if he's going to translate well to the NFL, but he's one of the more exciting college football players to watch. Arizona State is just mowing through the competition in the Big 12, a new Big 12, that being said. Indiana still in it, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, though. This is what I find frustrating about this. Alabama is getting a gift because they're Bama, but what happened when Florida State's QB went down? Well, we're worried about the eye test. How would it look
Yeah.
if we send Florida State into the 14 playoff with a backup quarterback? That's why they got passed over.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, Alabama's looked like shit all year.
Thank you.
Okay, and I understand new head coach, new system. There's going to be issues implementing and carrying out everything, but they haven't looked like Bama. So why would you give them the Saban Bama benefit of the doubt at 9-3? You know, I mean, I fucking hate this playoff anyway, because we still have a committee picking teams. That's not a fucking playoff. A playoff is win your league, you get in. That's it.
That would have been better because, like you said, there's 12 leagues,
Yeah.
12 spots. Let's go. But that didn't happen. Why do you
No.
think that is?
Oh, dude, because SEC and the Big Ten. That's the long and short of it. They believe that since they are the two big conferences, they're the power brokers in college football. They should have access to 8 out of the 12 spots, which I think is fucked. Because there's going to be years where the SEC and the Big Ten can't field 4 playoff teams. And I'd even argue neither of them can do it now. Big Ten, you're looking at Oregon, obviously, Ohio State, Penn State. For me, I think Indiana should get in over Ohio State. They've only got the one loss, and I get it was against the Buckeyes, but they've essentially knocked down everybody else that has been put in front of them. And Ohio State has had issues all season long. You look at the SEC, yes, they devoured themselves, but there was a lot of bad football in the SEC, whether you want to agree or not. I was absolutely shocked that fucking, Vandy won 6 games. Good on you, Clark Lee, for getting them back to a bowl game. That's
Hey,
great.
Diego, what's his name? Pavia?
Yeah, Diego Pavia.
That kid is fun to watch.
Yeah.
That kid is fun to watch.
He's got a lot of like, I don't know. He managed to make plays against Bama every time they needed him to. And he's got really good control of that offense. And this is a great bounce, a great season for Vandy, right? But when you look at the powers that be that were supposed to be at the top of the SEC, Texas was back, and they're really back now. I think they've played phenomenal for the most part during this season. Bama, sorry, dude, they just haven't looked like Bama. Milroe looks like he's taking a step back in his development.
What happened to Jalen Milroe? It's like for a while we were like, oh, maybe this kid actually can develop into more than just a large running quarterback that probably won't play this position at the next level. And I've seen him throw really bad interceptions. It looks like he literally looks lost. In those losses, he looks like he doesn't understand the coverages that he's seeing. Is it the system? Is it him? Is it a combination?
Kalen DeBoer runs a system where a lot of it is predicated off the quarterback making multiple reads on you make your initial play in the RPO to see if you're going to run or pass, right? And then it's making your reads down the field so you can deliver the
Yes.
ball accurately. It looks like he's not able to make that decision quick enough now. Like I said, this is first year in the system, and it's not simple in the fact that a quarterback is expected to be the one making the decisions. Whereas you got to think Saban, even after opening up quite a bit, and he did,
Yeah.
in his defense, um, you know, Milroe still got a lot of calls from the sidelines, you know, um, so that will cover up some of the warts on a quarterback. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Anybody, that was a big, huge part of Mahomes' first 2 seasons as a starter at Texas Tech. He got a
Yeah.
lot of reads from the sideline first.
Most good. I mean, look at Gabriel Dillon at Oregon. He's constantly looking at the
Yeah,
sideline for the audibles or the coverages. Yeah.
yeah, and that's okay. I mean, yeah, OU's OU right now, Tony. I'm gonna tell you right now, I wasn't sure Texas and Oklahoma were going to be able to make the jump to the SEC. Texas really loaded up for bear those last few years in the Big 12. Sarkisian showing that he can coach and recruit instead of like getting drunk at university pressers. So that really worked out in his favor.
That's the old Steve.
Yeah,
Talk about the new Steve.
yeah, the new Steve.
The new Steve.
But
12
Brett
step Steve.
Venables, when he should have been cleaning up and loading up the way Texas did, he didn't at Oklahoma. And he took a really, really just average team into the SEC where, you're the head coach at Oklahoma, and Bob Stoops, even though he only won one title, really spoiled Oklahoma, their fans, because he was just so consistent.
Well, they got 2 Heisman Trophy winners out of that. One of them was just so mediocre that he never even got a cup of coffee in the NFL.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was the great thing about college football, right? Like you're going to have guys that win the Heisman and don't do shit in the pros. Do
you think that's changing?
I don't know, man. I think that's still to be seen.
Who's the last Heisman winner to be trash? Or not even make it? Like, I can't think. Who was the quarterback that went to Florida State before Jameis? Didn't he win the Heisman? Or was he just the first overall pick? He went to Buffalo. I can't think of his name. Black guy.
EJ Manuel.
Black fella. EJ Manuel. He didn't win a Heisman, did he?
No. He was like he was part of a really bad crop of QBs that year.
Oh, it was not a good crop of QBs.
Yeah.
But I can't think of a Heisman winner in the last few years that rivals what we saw with like Toretta and Josh White.
Andre Ware.
Leave Andre alone, okay? First of all, it wasn't his fault. They didn't use him properly. Okay. Stop hating on David Klingler. Stop hating on these guys.
Yeah.
I understand what's going on. You're racist.
Half the chat already calls me that anyway, so.
You're a rum racist.
I'm going to turn into Uncle Ruckus here in a minute.
No, I don't think Adrian Peterson won a Heisman, did he? He didn't win one.
No, I don't think he did.
No.
But
who won the Heisman that year?
But I mean, the thing is OU should have been looking at Texas and saying, hey, we need to do the same thing to prep for the gamut that is an SEC schedule, and they didn't. Like, I think Venables is only there because his buyout's too big. I think a lot of schools are really second guessing the buyout now. Rummist. Oh, that's a good one, Tony. I'll give you that one.
Rummist. I think the term is rummist.
But it's. I was really surprised how hot out of the gate Texas came. I'm really surprised they kept. I understand a QB is not supposed to lose his position because of an injury, but dude, the offense looks different with Arch Manning. And
Can we be honest, Blood? Can we be honest about Arch Manning and that touchdown run? How fired up were you when you watched that?
I'm just shocked that there's a Manning that can move that fast. You know,
Wow. Okay, now you're just a regular racist.
yeah.
At the very least, a geneticist.
I am sorry.
Eugenicist, I mean.
The Manning
Eugenicist.
family isn't known for their fleetness of foot, and Arch is trying to put that to bed.
I think Arch Manning is showing you, like, this is a great time to point this out. As much as we've been saying this on the show forever, our good friend Danny Bessner just tweeted this out the other day. He goes, I see sports becoming this thing where only upper echelon families, upper middle class families will be able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You look at a kid like Arch Manning, that is the son of the oldest Manning brother, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Who also was a really good athlete before he broke his neck. And so he grew up around his two NFL Super Bowl winning uncles and his pawpaw, who was a top pick in the NFL as well. And there's no reason why that kid's not going to have just at home good training. Then he's going to have top of the line because you come from money.
Mm-hmm.
Your dad was the lawyer for his two very successful brothers. So you're getting all this great training. How many young Christian McCaffrey's another example of this?
Yeah.
Luke McCaffrey's another example of this. Riley Moss, Cooper DeJean. The day of the Hoop Dreams player is over.
Yeah.
If you don't have a certain level of training, you're not just going to make it on athletic ability alone. And when you watch a kid like Arch Manning play, you're like, this is one part genetics, we can't lie. And two parts, you have the ability to have an insane amount of training.
Okay, here we go. Nuri, JC, here's the thing though. This is what you're completely glossing over when comparing football to American football. We don't have the same athletic systems that they have in Europe, where, you know, like Barcelona, Man United, all have programs starting as young as like 8 or 9. Right? These kids are put in a system where they have access to good coaching, good training. And yeah, they got to flash something prior to, but the facilities are still there. The training is still there. All that is still there. You know, whereas here in the States, what do we have? You know, like Jason said, we kind of had that hoop dreams thing where you showed a kind of an aptitude for the sport. You played well enough to get yourself into college. That's where you cut your teeth. And then you hopefully went on to play professionally. And it's not like that anymore. Parents have to come out of pocket for the, like, literally nutritionists and shit, which I don't know, anybody affords that. I can barely fucking afford to, you know, keep decent food on my table, let alone, you know, the ridiculous shit that athletes put, you know, up, you know, into their body just to, you know, assist with muscle recovery and keeping their freaking weight down and all that stuff. So, you know, so it's different. You know, I firmly believe that we would be better off having those kind of athletic system where we can identify some people so they can, as you know, younger, get the training and all that because they show an aptitude for it rather than just funneling kids into you know, got to go to get 4 years of college and all this other
We're not being honest with the fact that sports programs are expensive, and there are high schools that can't afford to have sports programs.
Yeah. And or they go into a pay for play system, and then what you immediately are doing is you're ensuring that people who don't have the funds to get their kids into it don't have access to it. You know, so it's
like if you're not doing look, I have a cousin that has 2 kids that play traveling sports, and neither one of them is going to be very tall. They play traveling basketball. I know my cousin's daughter is actually really good. But the kids are having fun. That's all you care about as a parent. But the money that you spend
yeah.
to travel, and if
do they have an
if you're not
OnlyFans?
traveling,
Like, how else do you fucking afford that? You know, are they fucking for money?
you're
On camera?
fundraising. You're constantly fundraising. You know, I'm constantly getting a message like, hey, you know, there's a fundraiser thing for, and I understand it because your kids want to play. You want your kids to play. This isn't the old days where there was a rec league down at the park. This is high stakes, fucking AAU type shit for all sports now. And your kids are playing against kids that have next level training.
Yeah. I mean, dude, you already pointed out the Warriors at one point started 5 players that were all children of NBA players. The thing is, there are a lot of like AAU and traveling teams that are just made up of athletes' kids.
Yeah.
And at that point, what's the whole point me being in this fucking league and paying, like a second mortgage on my house so my kids can play when they're just going to get smoked 70-0?
Because it's
Like,
networking. Like seriously,
I know.
this is where it is. If you're a parent that can get their kid on the team with all the NBA guys, and if you're a parent that does, I don't know, financial planning,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's like, or you, whatever it is you do,
Hey,
now
I'm a
you have
CPA. I'm a CPA. When your kid makes it to the league, I can do his taxes.
or I can do your taxes,
Yeah.
right? So it's a networking opportunity for parents as well. That I think, even elite schools for a lot of people is a network opportunity for them. That's where they want
Yeah.
to fight to get their kids into elite schools. So that's what we're seeing with athletics, and we're going to see more Arch Mannings coming down the pike, especially as these sports become unaffordable for the average family to put their child in it. And those are
Yeah.
the things that I was talking to Teray earlier today, Teray Reed, and I was watching. Sorry to cut you off. This documentary on hair metal. I've talked about it before, and it's really good. Right? Paramount put it out, called "Nothing But a Good Time," and the way those guys talked about their scene is the way you hear rappers talk about rap over the last 40 years. It was this music that kept me off the street. You see an interview with Vince Neil. He goes, "Hey, a kid coming to a Molly Crew show. Maybe he's not knocking off a liquor store." The lead singer of Great White, I didn't know this until I watched that documentary, which I thought was hilarious. He shot a maid trying to rob his coke dealer when he was 16. Did you know that?
No.
These things that we can be flippant about, sports and music programs, and even things like acting programs in
Hmm.
school, they're really important to keep kids focused, to keep them out of trouble. Just giving someone something to do.
Yeah, it gives them an outlet. Whether
Yeah.
that it could be just socialization, it could be the actual physical exertion, it could be the talent it takes, or the passion that they're showing for things. You know, it's just, yeah. See, Chris, then you really fucking know, man. Della, Della
Yeah.
Salle is what Notre Dame strives to be. If we can just pick and choose, we can hang 80 on everybody we play and just win that. I think they play for like an ISD championship because they can't play at like any other level in
Mhm.
California football. Like,
They go all over the country and play
yeah,
people. They go to Hawaii and play St. Louis, and yeah, no, it's insane.
yeah,
And that's, I think I look at the Arch Mannings of the NFL, or even like, we don't have to talk about Arch Manning, but even Christian McCaffrey, even Andrew Luck, his
yeah.
dad played in the NFL.
Hmm.
There's so many of these guys whose parents have played at the highest level, if not the NFL, maybe Canada, or they played like Kyler Murray, played really high level college football. Um, these kids that we see understand the game on a whole nother level. They're prepared on a whole nother level. They've trained on a whole nother level. This idea that you can just throw a football through a tire in the backwoods
Yeah,
of some southern Louisiana town is just not the way it works anymore. Just look at all the players you see on a team and ask yourself how many of them, um, two-parent households, two-income households.
yeah. The extended family, like you said, for the
Yeah.
fundraising, yeah, it's nonsense, man. And that's the sad part is we're seeing these programs not even slowly being chipped away. They're quickly being chipped away, and we're seeing recreational things that used to help kids immensely uh, being taken away from the kids that need them the most. And what are we going to be left with? It's It's nonsense. It's more American nonsense. I hate to say it. I understand every nation on the planet has their issues. But when we're talking the financial inequality issue, no one does it quite like America. You know?
Speaking of inequality, I need to share this with you before we go. They're shutting down the Witch right now.
Yeah, and your boy's got physical therapy in the morning, guys.
And you have physical therapy, so we said hard hour.
Yep.
But I have to show you this before we go.
Let's see it.
You are 43, so you grew up in the 90s, and there were slang terms that you used with your friends. I found this yesterday. I played this in the champagne room. These are slang terms from the 90s. Most of them I've never heard of, and some of them, okay, I'll just play it.
If you want to sound as if you've stayed up with the times, you know that awesome or big time will get the point across as in, that was an awesome evening segment I just saw. Well, here are some other phrases you want to know if you want to be sure to sound hip in the 90s.
Yo, a greeting.
Yo, Curb, what's up?
Clutch the pearls, said in amazement or disbelief.
Well, you know he's married.
Clutch the pearls.
Bucked. In the 80s, it was just wasted.
I don't know how many I had, but boy, did I get bucked. I sure felt it the next morning. That was really the worst thing I'd ever done.
You didn't drive home.
No way.
MacGyver, as in the TV show where the impossible is often accomplished.
Okay.
Have you ever used bucked, Mac?
I used to get quite bucked as a young adolescent, and I never used that term.
Cool. Tony says you're doing this to Mac too. Like Mac, when that dude goes, man, I got so bucked last night. We're like, what? wait till the next one. Wait till the next.
I can't believe you got off that speeding ticket. What a MacGyver.
Norville, to secretly undermine.
What? I can't believe you saw your job. You've really been Norville.
Black & Decker, or a real tough assignment. You get the analogy, right?
This job is a real grind. It's just a Black & Decker.
Some phrases may be around forever.
Well, look, I gotta run. Peace.
Bye, Tom.
One last word for words of the 90s. You got to remember that hip slang changes rather quickly, so if you want to use any of these phrases, you better use them in a hurry. I mean, think of Bart Simpson. Cowabunga is dreadfully out of date, hardly out of style, and you don't want to appear bizotic, do you?
The popular music at that time was a lot of hair metal. Guns.
Sorry.
Wow, that was all horrible. I have never used any of those except yo and peace. That's about. Oh, dude, Andrew, you're right. Riz is 100 times better than fucking all of what I heard.
That was from 1991.
Jesus Christ. What the fuck, man?
I found that the other day. I couldn't stop laughing.
Shut the fuck up.
Not being a rum system is a real Black & Decker. The guy on Grindr sent me a Black & Decker pic not that long ago. Did you get bucked?
Yeah.
Chris Contos with the
Black &
Decker
Wrecker.
That's how you get bucked.
Yep.
That's how you get Norville.
Yeah. You got to be careful. Sometimes that Black & Decker pecker wrecker. Wow. Just like, we've used some weird shit in our vernacular. And I've never heard those terms before.
Bucked by the Black & Decker. What a guy. Dude, when I saw that, and the way the guy says, he goes, man, I had too many drinks, got bucked.
See, like when I think of getting bucked, it's like, you know how like you walk up behind your like girlfriend or your like partner and you kind of like grind into them and they just throw it back, like, get that fucking thing away from me right now, you know?
Yeah, that's getting bucked, huh?
That's getting bucked.
That's getting.
Yeah.
Well,
You
I
know?
prefer it sometimes.
As long as she doesn't do it too hard and like smashes everything, you know?
If that's what getting bucked is, I'm a fan.
Well, you do like the longest and flattest of bottoms, so it probably wouldn't affect you much, you know? But I like a round.
That's where the cushion is. That's where the cushion is.
I like a round bottom girl, you know? Like she does squats, so it might hurt a little bit. So I got to be careful, you know?
I'm still mad that girl goes, "Oh my God, you lost your job. You got totally Norvilled." We're like, what? How does it even make any sense?
Yeah, JC, I'm with you. Like they made the Japanese girl.
I believe I said this last night, and I'm going to say it again. I believe that whoever did that segment lied to that man.
Oh yeah.
I believe they lied totally.
Like it was an old ass editor, and he asked like the intern for some words, and the intern's like, "Oh fuck yeah." You know?
You ever heard of getting bucked?
What's that? Getting bucked? What does that mean? Oh,
It all started. We watched this. We watched a clip before on Gen Z slang, and there was people saying on the Gen Z slang one that they didn't understand what the term goat meant, like greatest of all time. Yeah. I was like, there's no way in the world someone doesn't know what the goat means, especially in the proper context.
Yeah, I mean, there's two goats for me. You have the greatest of all time, and then you have the goat from the movie Waiting, you know, where you.
Oh.
Yeah. All right, new guy. I know you think it's gay that we show our dick and balls to each other, but it's not. It's just a game we play here at the restaurant.
Yeah, I can see bucked as a euphemism for getting pegged.
Yeah.
Did you buck that guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. That's fair. But that being said, I can't imagine it being a euphemism for being intoxicated.
Yeah, I don't see that either. But like when I used MacGyver, it was like when we threw together like weird tools to make a bong, you know, like so we could smoke weed. That's what being MacGyver was. I don't get, you know.
Yeah, MacGyver was like, you know, you put something together, you jimmy rigged it or whatever you want to say. The way you got out of that ticket, you're such a MacGyver. Like you guys, I think they were high and making shit up.
Did they watch MacGyver? It's like he reached into his pocket and was like, well, I got a pen, a Band-Aid, and a rubber band. I'll go save the world now, you know, like.
Dr. Clausen, I was telling people in the chat about Norville. I still don't get where that gets from.
Yeah.
I don't know how Norville came out. But again, those interns that made that shit up are fucking comedy heroes as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Yeah. And Virtuoso, you're right. I read like 2 books about like they were oral histories of the grunge scene, and the guy who started Sub Pop was like, dude, we had like USA Today coming out and they're like, hey, can you give us some like cool terms so we understand your music? And he just started saying shit and they wrote it down and just ate it up. Jason will be leaving the witch to get bucked at the queer cafe while being Norvilled about his drink order being a real Black & Decker. He'll have to be a real MacGyver to clutch the pro. Jesus Christ.
What's funny is there's a club if I walk that way, it's just called sodomy. Like it's just like don't beat around the bush. Don't have a cute name.
No
play on words.
Get down to business, right? Like one of the only gay bar in Warren, Ohio, when I lived there, was a place called the Manhole. Right?
What's going on in there? Oh, I know. Yep,
yeah.
We don't want the wrong people in here fucking it up for all the guys that want to have a good time.
Yep.
Just this is what it is.
Yep. You know, I mean,
let's make shirts that say "Get Bucked." I'm down. With that guy's face on it, just like
just like this. Oh.
Just get bucked. Well, thank you very much, guys, for hanging out with Mac and I. Again, a very short night. I'm on location. It's. I won't say it's cold here, but it's cold here. It's cold here. It's cold here, Mac.
Yeah, Jason needs some extra time because he saw a woman with the longest butt walk past him. So long, in fact, that the yoga pants were saggy in the back, and he's like, "That's my girl."
like the meme of the black dude behind the tree.
He's like, he's drooling already. Ooh, I'm gonna get that butt.
Oh. All right. Well, before we get another charge of saying mean things online,
He's gonna dive in and break his nose when he hits the back of the pelvic bone.
Virtuoso says, Jason, it sounds like they're closing the gates. I don't want to get stuck in here because I do feel like that's when the vampires come out. You have to see this place.
If they look like Salma Hayek from Dusk Till Dawn, I will gladly die that way then. That's fine.
That's why you can't go to the bar that me and Ben go to, because if you go to that bar, you're going to see those types of people and you're going to get vampired. Simple as that.
You know what? I'll leave this mortal coil a happy man. They're just like trying to rip me apart, and I'm like, "Oh, Salma Hayek, do it!" And she's just like, "What is wrong with you, dude?"
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for everybody that commented. Chris, I see you. I'm trying to get you back on the show so we can do the 1994 show before the year's over. And we are out.